the American dream right there. You know, beautiful story. But that ain't the way the world works.
You waltzing in here like you mean something. We're in the...
Carmine Falcone's dead.
If we don't protect what's ours, we just look weak.
Do you remember Carmine's daughter? I mean to interrupt.
Sophia, I thought you was still at,
Arkham? No.
Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for The Penguin Episode 6, Gold Summit. What a great episode. Overall, this continues just the story is finally evolving, right? We're focusing back on what the Penguin is doing and the operations, how they're moving. The sides are coming together. We don't have a lot of episodes left, so things are definitely coming to a head. And I think the last few are just going to blow us out of the water. Although I really enjoyed this episode, there was one moment where for the first time in the series, I was like, oh, this feels a little bit like a TV show. And I'll talk about that more in detail when I go into spoilers. But other than that, the quality of the show continues to be just top-notch. Prestige television for sure. HBO knows exactly what they have here and what they're doing with it. So I am very much looking forward to seeing what happens next. I gotta say, for this episode, Kristen Milotti and Clancy Brown have a few scenes together where, oh my goodness, their chemistry, their talent, it just really works so well. So let's get into this episode of The Penguin. All right, so we start off with the Penguin building his empire, right, underground. We saw that he found this place under Crown Point where the old trains used to be, whatever the case may be. And he realizes that not only can he grow the mushrooms there very well, but it's in a place where no one will think he's there. No one will look for him there because it is like a forgotten part of the city because it's been through such tragedy. We also see, and this is where I was talking about a little bit earlier, Sal's cooking as Sophia walks into the kitchen after doing some stuff. And they have a really interesting scene because both of their families are gone, right? And they really only have each other as this uneasy alliance. But they have a very nice, quiet moment where Sal's cooking, Sophia's there talking. They're talking about what they need to do for going forward. And they just kind of have dinner together. And it's a very quiet moment, but it really just helps cement that both of these are two broken characters that are trying to find some kind of anchor. And right now that is their plans against Oz. And they send the message the hard way to anybody. They take a few of the distributors from the Sullivan gang, which we will talk a little bit more about later, that are dealing bliss. And they show they do a show of force, right? They take them out, they send the message very, very strongly. So Oz, to counteract this, to make sure that people are not scared, to make sure that that his bliss business can stay afloat, he plans to just do like a big bliss giveaway to get the product out there, get people, create his own demand in that way. And also kind of send the message that he's in it to win it with this. We see another great scene with Maroni and Sophia as they go to Oz's old apartment looking for a little bit of leverage. But they don't, he doesn't have a lot of things. The Oz, as far as they know, he doesn't have any family left. He doesn't have anything or anyone that he cares about. But Sophia picks up on something, so we'll definitely talk more about that a little bit later. Once Oz gets back to the apartment, he sees that his mom is stuck in the bathtub and she's getting worse, unfortunately. Really powerful scene of this woman who has a moment of clarity and knows that her time is slipping by, where she may not have those moments of clarity, and she asks Oz to probably do, the hardest thing that he'll ever have to do for her. She asks him for help, and man, oh man, it is a super intense scene. Oz helps her get like kind of dolled up, but it's really interesting. They were talking about it in the back at the end of the episode, and the inside of the episode, how even though Oz is doing this stuff that seems like a very nice gesture with his mom, you can see that his hands are still dirty, right, from what he was doing earlier, because his hands are always dirty in the stuff that he's doing. Um, Victor brings up Squid to Oz, but he's a little bit distracted. So I think ultimately Victor realizes that he's going to have to deal with that on his own. We see Oz going to visit Councilman or Hattie. I don't know that we had met him in the movie, but he's somebody that he uses that meeting to ensure that they can get electricity back on Crown Point, right? Because it's being diverted into the rich neighborhoods. And obviously this like people are freezing. It is the middle of winter. Now, anytime there's some kind of winter imagery, I do think, like, like, are they trying to set up anything for the second movie or whatever the case may be? Maybe some Mr. Freeze type of stuff. But I don't think that's the case. I think it just happens to be winter in Gotham. And I think that I really like that Oz is doing all these things to secure the favor of the people of Crown Point, right? His goal has always been to be like that one gangster that he grew up kind of idolizing, that he took care of his own neighborhood. We get probably one of the darkest scenes in this season, really. Victor, he goes to talk to Squid, tries to solve the problem, throw a little bit of money at it. Squid, really, like, he wants to meet with Oz. He wants in on the business. He wants to know why everybody else is getting a little bit of money, a little bit of work. And then Victor ends up taking him out. And then after that, we see a meeting between Oz and Victor. And Oz realizes what Victor's done, that he's taking care of his own problem. But something they mentioned in the inside of the episode, which I thought was really interesting, was that, he comforts him. Oz comforts Victor because he just did something really messed up. But he also tells him at the end, like, it gets easier because Oz knows that Victor, this is his first step into this. He's going to have to do some more things and get dirty and probably kill some more people along the way. We then see Sophia going to Eve's apartment. Eve is Oz's girlfriend that we met earlier. And ultimately, they have such a great scene. I made a quick note that I do appreciate Sophia doing her own legwork. She's chasing the leads. She's talking to people, bribing them. And she, ultimately, Eve decided to have this meeting with Sophia to set it up. She had one of her girls set it up for her because she wants to protect them. That's her main goal. She, at this point, still believes that Sophia is the hangman and wants to protect her girls. But after their conversation, they do realize that, Sophia tells them that Oz knew that she hadn't killed anyone. Oz knew that it was her dad, but he chose to keep that from her because it would benefit him more if Eve was afraid of Sophia. So ultimately, they kind of come to a bit of an understanding. Really great scene. Ultimately, Sophia finds out where Oz is from Eve, so she kind of leaves her alone. This is probably the biggest scene in the episode that comes next. Oz sets up a meeting with all the gang leaders. He brings beers, which I thought was a really funny touch because it makes it seem like these are all the little guys that all those rich big guys like the Falcones and the Maronis and then the council people at the government in Gotham, like, they don't care about them. They're stepping on them. They're squeezing them for all they're worth. And Oz presents the case that if they put aside their differences, if they put aside their dislike, their hate for each other, and come together and watch each other's backs, they can take over Gotham ultimately. And after a little bit of persuasion, they do finally agree. This was the scene that to me felt like a little bit TV, only because they had to get, when you got to bring in a bunch of different gang leaders, you can't just cast all these like prestige actors. They had a lot of people that probably were just they were probably from TV. They're probably TV actors, and this is a TV show. but ultimately, like, it felt a little bit silly. Like some of the characters looked a little bit cartoonish, where they had to have like, this is this gang, so they kind of, they dress a certain way, and this is this other gang. But yeah, Colin Farrell delivers a great performance with giving his like rally speech that he's got to get the troops all together. But ultimately, the last scene of the show, as the power comes back, Francis and Victor, Francis is a little startled because the music starts playing on its own because the power had gone out. But ultimately, like, they're kind of having a good time with the music because they are celebrating that it was Oz that got the power back into Crown Point. But then we see Sophia standing there. We don't see them notice her yet. So that'll definitely come back to play in the next episode. And then as the episode ends, we get the Black Flowers Place by Chris Isaak. I always like noting what songs play at the end of the episode, only to try to figure out if there's some kind of thematic reference. Now, I'm not very familiar with the song Black Flowers, but I'm sure going back, listening to the whole song and a little bit of meaning, it revolves around this episode, or maybe a little bit of foreshadowing as to what is to come. The preview for the next episode looks pretty intense. So yeah, we only have a couple of episodes left. It's going to be very interesting to see how this rest of the season plays out, and if it sets up anything at all to the larger world of the Batman in the next movie. So very excited for this. Really, really enjoying this show. But if you have seen this episode, let me know what did you think about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here on the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.